I playfully imitated his bed noises during drinking game. I didn't expect him to take it seriously. All right, so before I get roasted into oblivion, let me just say, I did not expect it to go like this. At all. It was supposed to be a stupid joke, just some drunk fun with friends. I mean, we've all done dumb shit during drinking games, right? We laugh, we get a little too competitive, maybe embarrass ourselves a little, but it's all in good fun. At least, that's what I thought. Apparently, my husband, Nate, took that shit personally. So, let's rewind a bit. A little backstory for context. I'm 28, and so is Nate. We've been married for 4 years, but our history goes way back. We were high school sweethearts, went to the same college, and have basically grown up together. He knows me better than anyone else in the world, and vice versa. If anyone had asked me before that night, hey, do you think Nate would ever lose his shit over a dumb joke? I would have laughed in their face. Because Nate does not get flustered, ever. He's that cool, calm, collected type. He doesn't hold grudges, he doesn't do drama, which is exactly why I was so damn surprised that this, of all things, was what finally got under his skin. Because in my mind, it was just a joke. Just a stupid, tipsy, haha, wouldn't it be funny if... moment. But to Nate? Oh no. To Nate, it was something else entirely. Okay, so before anything else, I just want to make it clear. I'm not trying to shift the blame here. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I didn't mess up or like I'm some innocent angel who did nothing wrong. I know I fucked up. I'm trying to be as honest as possible because I genuinely want some real advice on how to go about things, how to talk to Nate, how to appease Nate. So, a little about me. I've always been the loud one, the jokester, the person who speaks before thinking, who acts first and deals with the consequences later. I've been impulsive and probably a little too chaotic for my own good. I just love making people laugh, even if it means embarrassing myself a little, or a lot. I mean, life's too short to take things too seriously, right? That's just how I've always been. I grew up in a family where teasing each other was just normal. It was how we showed love. We weren't really the mushy, I love you, let's have deep conversations about our feelings type of family. Instead, we showed affection by roasting each other to hell and back. You know, if we weren't poking fun at you, that probably meant we didn't like you. So naturally, since that's how I grew up, that's the route I took in my own relationships. And let me be clear, I love Nate, with my whole damn heart. So, of course, I tease him. Of course, I poke fun at him. I mean, I thought it was harmless. I thought it was just part of our dynamic. But apparently this time, I went too far. You know that feeling when something happens, and at first you're like, it's not that deep. It's honestly not that deep. You brush it off, maybe even joke about it. But then, when you actually sit down to put it into words, whether it's on Reddit, in a journal, or just talking about it out loud, that's when it finally hits you. Like, damn, okay, maybe it actually was that deep. And then you start replaying everything in your head, seeing it from a different angle, and suddenly you're like, shit, maybe they had a point. That's exactly where I'm at right now. The more I write this out and actually sit with my thoughts, the more I realize just how much I fucked up. I used to tease Nate a lot, a whole lot. And I never thought much of it because, well, that's just who I am. That's how I express affection. I joke, I poke fun, I mess around. It's just what I do. And for a long time, I thought he was completely fine with it. At first, he was fine with it. I mean, he'd brush it off, maybe let out a chuckle, roll his eyes, shake his head. Sometimes he'd even play along, tease me right back. It was our thing. Or at least, I thought it was. Eventually, Nate stopped being as okay with it. At first, it was subtle. He wasn't laughing as much when I teased him. The usual eye rolls and playful smirks became smaller, shorter. Eventually, they just stopped. And now that I'm looking back, there were so many signs. Signs that I completely ignored because, in my head, he wasn't outright saying anything, so it must not be that big of a deal, right? And to be fair, he really didn't talk to me about it at first. He didn't snap at me, didn't immediately shut me down, didn't tell me to stop. So I figured, okay, maybe he's just in a mood. I chalked it up to stress because, at the time, he was under a shit ton of pressure at work. He was up for a huge promotion, one that he had been grinding for long to get. He'd been putting in extra hours, barely getting any sleep, dealing with a ton of expectations. I just assumed that was the reason for his change in attitude, that he was just exhausted, not that he was actually bothered by my jokes. But then it started to get clearer, or at least now it is. He wasn't just not laughing. He was actively getting uncomfortable. He started shifting away from me in conversations when I joked. Sometimes I'd make a playful comment, and he wouldn't even acknowledge it at all. And then, a few weeks before the night game that blew everything up, he finally talked to me about it. It wasn't a casual, "Hey, can you ease up on the teasing?" No, it was an argument. A full-blown argument. He told me, straight up, that he didn't like the kind of jokes I made about him, that I was picking on things that he was actually insecure about, that it wasn't fun for him anymore. And I didn't get it. I mean, I was just joking. I had always been joking. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I wasn't trying to be mean. I thought we were just doing what we'd always done. But according to him, he wasn't seeing it that way anymore. We eventually made up, and I thought we had moved on from it. But in my head, I just chalked up the whole argument to him being stressed out of his mind with work. It didn't really sink in just how much it had been affecting him. I did try to tone it down, honestly. I swear I did. But I just couldn't completely stop. I mean, this was me. This was part of my personality. Teasing, joking, being the loud, chaotic one. I thought that was part of what made Nate love me. He never brought it up again after that argument, so in my head, I figured I had been right all along. That the whole thing was just a momentary outburst from stress, not something that actually bothered him long term. It didn't really sink in just how bad I had messed up until that night. It was supposed to be a fun game night with our close friends. Nothing crazy, just drinks, laughter, and dumb party games. Everything was going great. The alcohol was flowing, everyone was having a good time, and things were just perfect. And then my big-ass mouth did what it does best, 'cause problems. We were playing Most Likely To, you know, the kind of game where someone asks a question like, who's most likely to get kicked out of a bar? And everyone points at the person they think fits best. Harmless fun, lighthearted, stupid. At first, it was all just jokes. Who's most likely to cry during a movie? Me, obviously. Who's most likely to get arrested? Who's most likely to get a sugar daddy? We were dying laughing. Drinks were being spilled. People were wheezing. It was that kind of night. And then came the question, who's most likely to be the loudest in bed? Immediate chaos. People were yelling, laughing, pointing fingers. It was a mess. I wasn't even paying full attention at first, just soaking up the energy of the room. And then I saw an opportunity. I don't even want to say this out loud, but I guess some part of me thought it would be funny. Some part of me thought, hey, this will get the biggest laugh of the night. And so, like the idiot I was, I pointed straight at Nate and went, "Oh, it's definitely Nate." Laughter. Good. Everything was fine. And then, for absolutely no reason at all, I decided to take it a step further. Nobody asked me to do this. Nobody sent me on this mission. But before I even thought it through, I started imitating Nate's bed noises. I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to do it. Maybe it was the tequila. Maybe it was my desperate need to be the funniest person in the room. But before I could stop myself, I was mocking my own husband's bedroom sounds. Loud, over-the-top, dramatic AF moans. At first, people were dying laughing. Like red-faced, struggling to breathe kind of laughing. And in that moment, I felt like I had won. Like I was a goddamn comedian. Peak comedy, right? Except, I didn't stop. I kept going. And then, gradually, the laughing started to die down. The energy shifted. I didn't even notice at first. I was too caught up in my own joke, too in the zone, too busy performing. But now, looking back, I was overdoing it. Badly. The room had gotten awkward, uncomfortable. Eventually, one of my friends nudged me. Just a small, soft nudge, like a quiet, "Hey, you should probably stop now." I awkwardly laughed, tried to brush it off, tried to keep the good vibes going, but it was already too late. I looked at Nate. He looked calm. Blank. His expression was unreadable, but he didn't look pissed, so I just assumed it wasn't that deep. I figured, he'd brush it off like he always did, that it would be one of those things that felt bigger in the moment, but would be forgotten by the time we got home. Nate isn't the type to hold grudges. That was something I knew about him. He lets things go, doesn't dwell too much, and honestly, that's probably part of why I never really thought my teasing was an issue before. So in my head, I was already thinking, okay, yeah, that might have been a little much, but by tomorrow, water under the bridge. And after a few more awkward chuckles from me, we just moved on. The game continued, people laughed at other dumb questions, and eventually we switched to something else entirely. The night kept rolling, drinks kept flowing, and everyone kept having fun. But looking back, I should have known. I should have known that I had completely fucked up. Nate was quieter than usual, still engaged, still polite, still smiling at the right moments, but there was something off. He wasn't laughing as much. He wasn't throwing in his own jokes like he usually would. It was subtle, but the distance was there. I ignored it. Maybe I wanted to ignore it. We stayed at the party for a while longer, but when we finally got in the car to head home, the silence was loud, like suffocatingly loud. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to bring it up then. I guess some part of me hoped that if I just tiptoed around it, if I didn't acknowledge it, it would somehow disappear. Because deep down, I knew I had embarrassed him. I knew it had been too much. I probably should have apologized right then and there. I probably should have at least said something, anything, to acknowledge what had happened. But I didn't. Because, God, this is going to sound so dumb. I thought that apologizing would make it worse. That bringing it up would force him to think about it even more. That maybe if I just acted normal, he'd act normal, and this whole thing would just fade into nothing. Spoiler alert, it did not fade into nothing. When we finally got home, that's when I had the brilliant idea to bring it up. And honestly, I should not have. My chance to bring it up was on the drive home, and I had missed that. I should have just let Nate go to bed. He was already heading there, already shutting down for the night, probably just trying to sleep it off. But nope. My dumbass thought it would be smart to crack a joke, to be all teasing and sly, and ask him if he wasn't actually mad about some little joke. Yeah, that was the match that lit the fire. Nate blew up. I mean, really blew up. He snapped, said it wasn't just some joke, that I had embarrassed him in front of everyone. And honestly, it shocked me. I had never seen him this mad before. Sure, we'd argued in the past, but this was different. This was a level of frustration I didn't even know he had in him. And in that moment, I just didn't get it. I mean, I acknowledged it as a joke. So why the hell was he taking it as more than that? Why was he so angry? The argument got bad, like voices raised, emotions high, both of us just not hearing each other. He told me he was done. Done with the teasing, done with the jokes, done with me making him feel like shit just for the sake of getting a laugh. And according to him, this wasn't the first time he had told me to fucking stop. Meanwhile, I was just there, doubling down, repeating over and over that it was just a joke, just harmless fun. Just something I always did. It was a bunch of back and forth, neither of us backing down, and by the end of it, he stormed off to the guest room. And me? I was still convinced that, come morning, it would all be water under the bridge, that he'd sleep on it, I'd sleep on it, and by the time we woke up, we'd apologize, laugh it off, sweep it under the rug, and everything would be back to normal. Yeah. That's not what happened. The next morning, I woke up expecting things to be awkward but fixable. I thought maybe Nate would still be a little cold, maybe we'd have another tense conversation, but eventually we'd move past it. I was not expecting to walk into the room and see him packing a damn to-go bag. I just stood there, staring at him, completely shocked. And then he told me that he was leaving for a while, that he needed space to think and reevaluate things. That shit felt like a slap to the face. I think I actually laughed at first, like a nervous, disbelieving kind of laugh, because what the fuck? But then I saw his face. Dead serious. He wasn't joking. He really didn't want to be in the same space as me. I lost it. I cried. I begged. I kept telling him I didn't mean anything by it, that I was so fucking sorry, that he didn't have to leave, that we could talk, we could work through it, please just don't go. But he still left. Just walked out the door. And now? It's been almost 2 weeks. 2 fucking weeks. He's staying at his best friend's place, and I have tried everything to reach him. I've texted, I've called, I've even thought about just showing up and forcing a conversation, but I know that'll probably just piss him off more. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to get through to him. I don't know how to make him see how sorry I am. And the worst part? Our friends are all on his side. I mean, they're not outright attacking me or anything, but they've made it clear that they don't want to get involved. And I get it, but at the same time, it's such a fucking bummer. Because if Nate won't listen to me, then maybe he'd listen to them, right? But no. They're all staying out of it, refusing to pick a side, which just leaves me here, alone, trying to figure out how to fix this mess that I caused. And I want to fix it. Because Nate, he's the love of my life. So, Reddit, please, help. What do I do? How do I fix this? How do I get him to even listen to me? Because I feel like I'm losing him, and I don't know how to stop it. Update. Hello, Reddit. Damn. I knew I was going to get roasted into oblivion when I posted this. That's why I really tried my best to explain everything, to go into extensive detail, to make sure people understood exactly what happened. But yeah, I got blamed to hell and back. And honestly, I get it. I really do. I am the asshole. I'm not even going to argue about that because you all are right. There's no way around it. I was the asshole. I was in the wrong. I fucked up. I've accepted that, but I won't lie. It still hurts. Because to me, it had all been a joke. I wasn't trying to be malicious. I wasn't trying to humiliate Nate. I wasn't trying to make him feel small. But intentions don't matter when the impact is still the same. And I get why you guys judged me so harshly for it. I deserved it. And even though the feedback I got wasn't exactly helpful in the way I hoped, I still appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that so many people even took the time to respond at all. I hadn't expected my post to blow up the way it did. Like, I was hoping for some feedback. A handful of opinions, maybe a couple dozen comments, not 1,000+ people tearing me apart. I didn't think it would go this fucking viral. But here we are. And I really wish I had a positive update. I wish I could sit here and tell you all that I finally made things right with Nate, that we worked through it, that everything's okay now. But that's not what happened. Nate wants a divorce. We finally sat down and had a real conversation. He at least apologized for disappearing for over 2 weeks, so there's that. But then he told me that he had been thinking about it for a long time, that he had reevaluated everything, and that, in the end, he came to the conclusion that it would be better if we just got divorced. I kid you not, I lost it. I broke down crying in front of him. I begged him to reconsider. I tried every possible way to convince him that this didn't have to be the end, that we could still fix things, that I would change, that I was so fucking sorry. But he wouldn't budge. He told me that this wasn't the first time I had teased him, and that he knew it wouldn't be the last. He said he had tried, really fucking tried, to talk to me about it, to get me to understand how much it hurt him, but that I never really listened, that the teasing made him feel horrible and only made his insecurities so much worse. And hearing him say that all my jokes had made him feel like shit for so long, it fucking wrecked me. The conversation was long, and honestly, he said so many things that I can't even force myself to repeat because just thinking about them hurts too much. And deep down, I know he was right. I just didn't see it until it was too late. So yeah, that's it. We're getting a divorce. I guess this is probably going to be my last update on here. There's nothing left to say. I fucked up, and now I'm paying for it. So, yeah. Thanks, I guess. Update. Hello, Reddit. I know I said I wouldn't update again, so I don't even know why I'm doing this now. But I've gotten some DMs asking for an update, and for whatever reason, I felt like maybe I should. I don't even know why people are still interested, considering things are just boring and gut-wrenching for me at this point. But here I am. Maybe because writing here helps me unload, even if just a little. I really wish I had a positive update. I know I've said that before, but I truly do. I wish I could come on here and say, hey guys, things are looking up. Nate and I worked things out. We're in therapy. We're rebuilding. But that's not the case. There is no silver lining, no miracle reconciliation. He's moving forward with the divorce. I've lost my marriage over a stupid fucking joke, and I honestly don't know if I will ever be okay again. I got served a while back, and I didn't even know how to react. I cried. I still cry. I've been miserable. I am miserable. I begged him for a second chance, so many fucking times. Begged him to take me back, to just talk to me, to give us another shot. But we don't always get what we want, do we? So yeah, there's not much to update you all on, even though I wish there was. I wish I could say something that made it all feel less final. But here's the reality. I'm getting divorced. I'm miserable over it. Everything in my life feels miserable. I miss my husband so much. And it's not just my personal life that's falling apart. My job is hanging by a thread. My performance at work has tanked so bad, it's not even a joke anymore. My boss is noticing. My coworkers are noticing. I'm genuinely scared I'm going to get fired because that would just be the ultimate blow. Losing Nate was already a nightmare, but if I lose my job too, I don't even know what the fuck I'll do. I cannot lose my job. I would go completely broke. I don't even think I can afford this apartment without Nate, considering he was the one paying most of the bills. And yet, despite knowing all that, I still can't bring myself to actually do anything about it. I can't focus. I can't try harder or work harder or whatever the fuck I need to do. I can't muster up the strength to care. So it's like I'm just waiting for the inevitable. My boss even suggested I take some time off, but it would be unpaid leave and I can't afford that. So that's not even an option. And then, just when I thought I couldn't feel any lower, Nate came over with his friends to pack up the rest of his stuff. And holy fuck did that hurt. Watching him take the last of his things, watching him walk out of our home for good, it felt like a final nail in the coffin. And it hit me then, like a slap to the face. He's really gone. He's not coming back. There's no fixing this. I don't think I'm ever going to get over him. I don't even know how to. I wish I could rewind time. I wish I had some kind of supernatural ability to go back and just shut the fuck up that night, to not make that stupid fucking joke at the party, to just do things differently. Because if I had, maybe none of this would be happening. And to make things even worse, my so-called friends are still refusing to get involved. They keep claiming they want to stay neutral, which is bullshit because it's painfully obvious they're on Nate's side. They think he's right. They support him. One of them even had the audacity to tell me that I have a history of saying the most hurtful things to Nate and disguising them as jokes. And what the fuck? That felt like such a shitty, hurtful thing to say to me right now, when I'm already at my lowest. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just miserable and depressed and stuck in this never-ending limbo. I can't move forward. I can't fix things. I can't even function like a normal fucking human being anymore. I wish I had a better update for you guys. I really do. But this is all I've got. Update. Hey Reddit. It's been a while. I don't even know why I'm here, why I'm writing this, but I guess I just need to get shit off my chest. Maybe this is my way of closing things off, my last update, my final goodbye to all this mess. As cringe as that sounds, I don't know what else to call it. But yeah, here I am again. I doubt anyone even remembers my last posts. Hell, people have probably moved on and forgotten I even existed. Meanwhile, I've been stuck in this never-ending spiral of misery. I don't even know where to start. Maybe I should just rip the Band-Aid off. The divorce is final. It's done. It's real. There's no going back. No fixing things. No waking up and realizing this was all just a horrible, drawn-out nightmare. It's been months, and I still can't get over it. Still can't believe it. There's this part of me that keeps waking up in the middle of the night expecting to feel him beside me. I keep hoping I'll turn over and see him, that everything I've been through was just some sick dream my mind cooked up. But it's not. It's real. And every single day I have to wake up and live with it. And that shit is unbearable. And because life wasn't done kicking me while I was already down, I lost my job. Yeah, I saw it coming, to be honest. My performance had gone to absolute shit, and I just couldn't find the energy to fix it. When it finally happened, when they let me go, it was like the last nail in the coffin. I couldn't afford my apartment. I couldn't afford anything. I was broke. I was lost. I had nowhere to go. So I did the only thing I could. I packed up my shit and moved back in with my parents. Which, by the way, was a whole different kind of hell. At first, they were understanding. They knew I was struggling. They saw how miserable I was. I barely left my room. I ate. I stress ate. A lot. And before I knew it, I'd put on so much weight that I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore. But after a while, my parents got tired of the whole situation. I guess they thought I'd magically snap out of it or something. Eventually, they told me I had to go. I had nowhere to fucking go. No apartment, no job, no friends to crash with. Because, surprise, surprise, my so-called friends had all basically picked Nate's side. They all kept claiming they were staying neutral, but it was pretty clear they were on Nate's side. I was literally not getting invited to hangouts because they didn't want me to make things awkward. The fuck? At that point, I just cut them off. Not like they even cared. So now, I'm living in a fucking camper. Yep, that's my life now. My brother had a camper, and he let me have it, so at least I'm not literally on the streets. But still, this is my fucking life now. On the bright side, I finally got a new job. It's not great. It doesn't pay as well as my last one, but it's something. I'm still looking for something better because, honestly, I have to. This job isn't enough. The job market is absolute dog shit, but I'm trying. And on top of that, I'm trying to lose the weight I gained, but holy fuck, is it hard. You know what's easy? Gaining weight. You stress eat, and boom, you've packed on 50 pounds before you even blink. But losing that shit? Impossible. I swear, losing weight is 10 times harder than gaining it, and it's driving me insane. But I'm trying. I have to try. I guess that's the theme of my life right now. Just trying. Trying to pick up the pieces. Trying to move on. Trying to find something to hold on to that makes this whole mess feel worth surviving. I wish I had a better update for you guys. I wish I could say something like, oh my god, everything turned around. I'm thriving. I'm a millionaire now. Nate realized he couldn't live without me, and we're back together, happily ever after. But no, there's nothing. I'm divorced. I lost my job. I lost my apartment. I lost my friends. I lost everything in what feels like the blink of an eye, and now I'm overweight, depressed, living in a fucking camper, and working a job that barely pays the bills. So yeah, that's my update. Life's a fucking joke.